What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be taking a look at the version 2 gearbox in your standard M4. The base platform I'm going to be using today is the Crytek Trident PDW, just because it's kind of small, it fits on the camera, but it's your basic standard M4. Keep in mind that some of your screws might vary, whether it's like an Allen key or a Phillips or a flathead. But the locations of the parts that you have to take out is pretty much universal across all platforms. So I'm going to be covering 5 things today in the video. First, we're going to do the gun breakdown, kind of the separation of the upper and the lower receiver. I'm going to show you how to take the gearbox out of the gun. We're going to break down the gearbox completely, well, most of the way, basically what you would normally break down for like a basic cleaning and gear greasing, that kind of thing. I'm going to explain a little bit of the parts, kind of what does what, how it kind of works, how the gun works, and then I'm going to show you a full reassembly, how to put the gearbox back together and back into the gun and put the receivers back together, that kind of thing. Okay, let's get started. Guys, if you guys are following along with me in the Crytek, these are the tools you're going to need. So you're going to need a big Phillips screwdriver. You're going to need a smaller, medium size, normal size Phillips screwdriver, and even smaller Phillips screwdriver. You're going to need a punch, a hammer or mallet, a size 8 Allen key, size 2.5 Allen key, and a size 1.5 Allen key. As far as I know, most airsoft platforms use metric screws. Some may vary on yours, so it's just a matter of finding what size Allen keys on your gun you need to use. But after you watch this video, you'll know exactly what parts you need to take out, and you can figure it out from there. Okay, so the first step is we need to separate our upper receiver from our lower receiver. We're going to do that by taking out this front body pin here. On the Crytek, and I believe most platforms, it is the front body pin you have to take out. It could possibly be your back, I don't know, but typically it's the front. So we're going to just take it out with the Allen key, pop this bad boy out, kind of lift it up, there we go. So on the Crytek, it pops all the way through, and then I like to keep the screw that was attached to it kind of together, and we'll set it off to the side right here. Okay. Now, to separate your receiver, you just slowly pull apart like this, and they should come apart no problem. If it snags, it could be your bolt latch here, your bolt catch, whatever you call that thing, that could be getting caught, or maybe your dust cover here. Just kind of check that out, but they should pull apart. We're not going to do a video on it today, but in another video we'll explain kind of your barrel and your hop-up unit, bucking nub, all that kind of deal, how to disassemble that, put it back together, whatnot. Okay, let's set that off to the side. Okay, let's get started. So to take out the gearbox from the gun itself, first thing you gotta do is get the upper receiver off, and we are ready to rock and roll. So it doesn't really matter which order you do this, these next few steps, just all these pieces need to come out. Okay, so first thing you need to do is take out your bolt catch. I think that's what it's called. Call it what you like. Keep in mind, guys, I'm not going to be perfect with these terms, but all the parts are right. You know which ones to take out, whatnot. Next thing you're going to do is take off your stock. On Crytek, so normally on most stocks you just push this down and allow you to retract your stock all the way back. Most stocks you have to pull it even further out and slide it up and over. I'll show you this ridge right here, and you pop it right off. Next thing you want to do is take your big Phillips screwdriver and down your buffer tube. I don't know if we can see that or not. Down your buffer tube there is going to be a Phillips screw. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know. So all we're going to do is take our Phillips and unscrew it. Like so. And then you kind of push that screw in plate, kind of shake it out. Sometimes it doesn't like to come out right away, so you feed that back through, get those guys out of the way, and they pop out like that. kind of just pull your fuse and your connector out that way. Also, this is called your castle nut right here. Sometimes this castle nut will be cranked down super hard, so you might have to back that off a little bit to kind of release some of that tension and pull that off. So we're going to set that aside. And one of the things I've learned while doing all this is you really want to just keep your workspace as clean as possible. Keep your parts organized. Get yourself some sort of mat or towel so your screws don't really roll away. I like to keep all my like exterior parts in one section and my internal like gearbox parts in another, that kind of thing. So organization is key. Key is what I was going to say. All right, put your sling mount over there. Okay, next thing, we're going to take out the rear body pin. It should be the same size Allen key as your front body pin. In this case, it was the 2.5. Same deal, take your punch. Punch this bad boy out. Okay, like so. Now you guys that are more tech savvy than me, if I do get any of this wrong, go ahead and just correct me in the comments. Try not to roast me. I'm still learning like everybody else. This is just meant to be a standard basic guide for those guys that either one are kind of afraid to take apart their gun because they don't want to break something or lose pieces, that kind of thing, or they just simply don't know how. It's actually very simple. So next, what we want to take out is our magazine release mechanism and button. We need our small Phillips for this. So I just push down, unscrew it lefty-loosey, and that comes right out. Spring, and then your magazine release mechanism should fall out the other side. Okay, next. On the Crytek, it has a ambidextrous fire selector, so that we have to take off. That requires, on mine, a 1.5 millimeter Allen key. Just unscrew that puppy like that. Come on. And I'm going to try not to cut scenes that much. I will cut a little bit to kind of shorten the video a bit, but I don't want to cut scenes of me actually doing these things so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, because I can't stand that when people do that. They're like, this is how you do it, and then they just cut scenes and they don't even show you how they did it. Okay, that's out. Next, we are going to take off our motor grip and take out our motor. So this one, there's 2 Phillips screwdrivers at the bottom. On the Crytek, when you first get it, there is a sticker here. It's kind of like a warranty sticker, and what I've heard or what they say is if you kind of bust that sticker, kind of voids your warranty, but it's no biggie. We're just going to pop that guy out. There is another warranty sticker on the inside of your gearbox, which I think is kind of pointless because you can't even get to it without busting the first sticker, but whatever. So I kind of like to keep a look. So your motor is kind of under a little bit of pressure right here. So what you want to do is kind of hold the motor plate down and then back off your last screw. You can kind of do it with both screws, but once you have both screws out, it's kind of going to pop up like that, and you just pop off your motor plate cover, put the screws back in it, set that off to the side. Oh, another thing I didn't mention is this little guy. This is just a pick, 90-degree pick. These are super, super handy in like everything you do. You really want to get one of these. They're freaking awesome. So we're going to pop our positive lead connector off, pop off our negative. They just pull straight up and out. And then we will just pull our motor out like that. Try not to drop it like I just did. It's not a big deal though. Real quick on your, this is a Crytek 30K torque motor. The way you can tell when you're putting back what side's what, your red wire is your positive, and sometimes they're marked. There's like a plus sign there and then a red sticker. And your black wire is your negative lead. These are called leads right here. These little wires and connectors. Okay, set that off to the side. Okay, next grab your regular size Phillips. There are two more. Here, let's get a picture of that. There are two more Phillips screwdrivers, or not Phillips screwdriver. There are two more Phillips screws at the bottom of your motor grip. We gotta pop those bad boys out too. Okay, so stick your screwdriver down in there. Lefty loosey. Don't worry about your screws falling down into your gearbox. I've never really had that happen, and it's not a big deal because we're opening it up anyway. Okay. So once you do that, you can just pop your motor grip off. And what you're going to want to do is kind of be careful not to like just rip it off, because you don't want to rip off your leads. But just unthread your leads one at a time like that. Boom. That comes off. And your screws typically tend to stay inside the motor grip. They don't usually fall out, which is kind of nice. So you can put that back with your motor plate. Okay. Okay. Last thing. Okay, so there's these three pins in the middle. The only pin you need to worry about is the middle pin directly above your trigger. Okay, we're gonna pop that out again using a punch. Now there is one thing you gotta pay attention to, is one side of this pin has like little threads on it. So you don't want the threads to go all the way through the gun. You want to pop it out the side that the threads are on. So, I mean, you can kind of look at it and kind of see which looks like this side has the threads on it. Or you can kind of pop it out from either side, take a quick look. If it's not the right side, pop it back the other way. So we need to pop this one through this side, like this. And you see those threads right there? Yeah, so you don't want those to go all the way through the gearbox itself, because they will kind of loosen up the metal and it'll make it hard to, it won't stick as well, won't hold it as well. Okay, that's all the pieces that you need to take your gearbox out of your lower receiver. So in recap, we had the stock, we have the buffer tube with your buffer tube screw and little plate. Take those guys out. You need to take out your magazine catch mechanism, which is this piece, the screw, and your little button right there. Okay. You also need to take out your rear body pin back here. I'll kind of lay these out for you. Stock buffer tube, rear body pin, middle pin above the trigger, your magazine catch mechanism. Where's that up here? There it is. Your magazine button, release button, and your, if you have one, your ambidextrous fire selector. That should be everything to take out your gearbox from your shell. Okay? Take a look at that. Boom. Okay, so now we're ready to take our gearbox out of our lower receiver. So, kind of a rule of thumb, you want to take your fire selector and move it halfway between semi-automatic and safety, and then kind of pull up and to the left and kind of just wiggle it out like that. And it'll pop right out. Your leads will come up through the base where your motor grip was, and your fuse, and if you have one, your fuse and your connector will come through that. At that point, we can just set our receiver aside, and we're down to our stock gearbox.